Greetings, everybody, and welcome to this week, Riding Across the Media. Hard to believe that here in a couple weeks we'll be halfway through the semester. Time flies when you're having fun, right? Today, or the other day actually, when I was typing up the email that was going to all of you, I was watching Star Wars: The Return of the Jedi with my oldest son. I had just come from a day of webcasting Mules and Jenny's basketball on our TriCaster, which is a studio production truck in a box. And my job during the game was to do social media. I was taking my iPad and shooting video and tweeting that video out, the highlights, tweeting out updates to our fans, trying to keep them abreast of what was going on to tell the story of the game. And as I was watching the movie and thinking back on my day, it really hit me that technology has really changed since I was in your seat, and quite frankly, since the beginning of time when we started following the news and we started making motion pictures and those types of things, and how technology has advanced, and we can do so many different things today than we could back then. But the essence of the story is the same. We still have to tell the who, what, when, where, why, and how. News, those are the essential elements. Who did what? When did it happen? Where did it happen? Why is this going on? How's it going to affect the people? Those are the essential elements in a hard news story. In cinema, they're the characters, they're the plot, they're the setting. Those all have to be a part of the story. So no matter what the technology is, no matter how we tell the story, how we get that story out to the public, we still have to keep those elements in place. Keep that in mind. This week we're shifting gears. We're going to the feature story. Last week you should have read a couple of articles from the readings on Blackboard about feature story. This week you're going to be reading more about how to write a profile piece. That's going to be your next assignment. These are the stories I really liked to write when I was a reporter and when I worked in PR, because I liked doing the human interest. I liked writing the news you could use, as we like to call it. Those types of things that introduce us to our next door neighbor, or told us how we could grow a better garden, or whatever it was. They're informative, but they're also very entertaining, and they kind of humanize the news. These are the kinds of stories that I liked. If you are in cinema, these are the kinds of pieces you'll be doing. If you want to do a documentary, you're going to be profiling somebody's life. You're going to be profiling a special event and providing that information. So this is a good week for everybody involved. So let's make sure we keep up with that. Okay? For your readings this week, again, you have a couple that are on Blackboard. Nothing from the textbook this week. And oh, happy day, no assignment due this week. The only assignment you have, of course, is your discussion board, which we'll do every week. That has to do with the feature story, so take a look at that. If you have not done your second attempt at the editing assignment, shame on you. Those were due last night by midnight. Go ahead and get them in, because I want to be able to make comment on them and get that information back to you. But those are your only assignments. You do have an assignment next Sunday, which is March 6th, and that's when your profile feature will be due. Do not wait, okay? Last story for the hard news. Some of you told me you procrastinated. Don't procrastinate. Get right on these things. And then the Learning to a Greater Degree feature piece will be due Sunday, March 20th. So go ahead and go to the Assignments tab this week. Take a look at those two assignments. Think of it, any questions you may have, and get back with me. Okay, now let's talk a little bit of grammar. Remember, each week I'm going to give you a couple of lessons on grammar, some things that you need to be applying to your writing. Make sure you start applying these to your writing. I saw a lot in the discussion board where the lessons we've been taught, the rules we've been talking about, you're ignoring them. Some of you aren't looking at capitalization, you're not looking at spelling, you're not looking at punctuation. Starting next week, I'm going to start docking you for that, because those are the little simple things that can make you a better writer. Practice it. Practice it in your emails, in your texts, in your discussion board posts. I expect to see that. This is a writing class. You have to get better in all of your writing areas, okay? So these grammar rules are going to be, we're going to start applying. Rule number 4 is a missing comma with a non-restrictive element. A non-restrictive element is a word, phrase, or clause that can be lifted from the sentence without changing the meaning or without causing the sentence to lose clarity. If necessary, you should also place commas before and after the non-restrictive element. For example, in the first sentence, the mayor asked to meet Alva Johnson, a highly decorated police officer. Okay, so who is Alva? Or who is the highly decorated police officer? Is this 2 people or is it 1? Well, obviously, we're talking about this is 1 person. But does it really matter who Alva is? The mayor's going to meet her whether she is a police officer, a custodian, or a NASA engineer. So to make it clearer, the mayor asked to meet Alva Johnson. comma, a highly decorated police officer. Same thing in the second sentence. His wife Mary was there. His wife is there whether her name is Mary or Heidi or Jane. The meaning of the sentence doesn't change if the name is removed. So we set off Mary with commas. His wife, comma, Mary, comma, was there. Rule number 5 follows the same rule. Confusion of that and which. That always introduces restrictive elements. Those that if you lift them out of the sentence loses clarity, loses meaning. It is not set off with commas. Which introduces non-restrictive elements, and again, non-restrictive elements are set off with commas. So the first example that is incorrect. The oldest store in town, Miller & Company, that has been on Main Street for almost a century, will close this summer. Now obviously, you caught Miller & Company is a non-restrictive element. If you remove it, the oldest store in town is still the oldest store in town. So that's set off with commas. But what we're talking about with this rule, that has been on Main Street for almost a century. That's a non-restrictive element. It doesn't matter if it's been there for almost a century, if it's been there for a decade, however long it's been there, that's adding new information, but it's not going to make the sentence unclear if it's removed. Therefore, it's a non-restrictive element. It should not be set off with commas, and that is the wrong word. The sentence written correctly is, the oldest store in town, comma, Miller & Company, comma, which has been on Main Street for almost a year, or for almost a century, will close this summer. So in this sentence, you have two non-restrictive clauses. Another example, the creature, comma, which has been frightening residents of North First Street for the past week, comma, has turned out to be a screech owl. Now in this case, the bolded clause is restrictive, because if you take it out, we don't know which creature you're talking about. Without the which has been frightening residents of North First Street for the past week makes this sentence unclear. Therefore, that clause is restrictive and has to stay in the sentence, and you use that. The creature that has been frightening residents of North First Street for the past week has turned out to be a screech owl. That is the correct way to write this sentence. Again, setting up there are no commas. So what you need to ask yourself is when you're trying to decide whether to use which or that, is the clause that's being introduced restrictive? Is it going to make the sentence less clear if it's taken out? If it does, it's a restrictive clause and you use that. If you can take it out, you don't change the meaning of the sentence, it's still clear, you set it off with commas and you use which. And finally, rule number 6, missing comma after an introductory element. A sentence may begin with a dependent clause, which is a word group that contains a subject and a verb and begins with a subordinating conjunction such as because or when, a prepositional phrase, an adverb that modifies the whole sentence, or a participle phrase. When they're used, use a comma to separate these introductory elements from the main clause of the sentence. And here you have 4 examples. And notice in all these cases, the opening clause is an incomplete sentence. If an incomplete sentence precedes a complete sentence, a comma must be used to join the two. So for example, in example number 1, after the applause had died down, comma, the conductor raised his baton. The conductor raised a baton is a complete sentence. After the applause had died down is an adverb clause saying when the conductor raised his baton. So therefore, you set it off with a comma. Okay, so those are your grammar rules for this week. Those are your instructions for this week and your assignments. As always, if you have questions, come see me.